but I bet I wasn't making $5 an hour. I can't remember back that far.
But the economic system has become a complete failure for the average person in this country. And the one person who is running for president right now, who is stating what is necessary, is RFK. And the reason I mention him
is who?
RFK. And the reason I mention him is because he has been very clear about the fact that Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street are going to own over 60% of the single-family homes in this country by the end of the decade. The ability to actually build any type of generational wealth is going to be completely impossible for almost universal for working people in this country. It is simply going to go away. I don't know how much he can be moved on the issue of Israel, but the current poll numbers suggest that this country is ready for something other than the two major parties in this country. Do you think that there's any chance that RFK could potentially be moved on some of these issues and become that trailblazing candidate that we desperately need right now?
Well, unfortunately, it was all set up to happen, and it got canceled. RFK called me a couple weeks ago. He was coming to Minnesota and he wanted to meet with me, and we were going to spend 2 days together so that I can get him off of this vaccine bullshit and start getting him to truly campaign on something that could win him the presidency, which ain't vaccines.
No.
And anyway, though, RFK and I were going to meet, and unfortunately he called me the day before and said he had a cancellation and a change of plans. So he didn't come to Minnesota yet. But let me ask you this. Did you guys ever read the book I wrote called Don't Start the Revolution Without Me?
No, I haven't read that one.
Well, I think you should. And the reason you should is this. It was the book I wrote right after getting out of office, and I'm traveling to my home off the grid in the Baja. And my wife and I both contributed to this book. And in the end of the book, I wrote all nonfiction until the last chapter. And this was a book I wrote back in 2004 after leaving office. The last chapter, I wrote fiction. You know what the last chapter was? Wait till you hear this. And this is 2004. Nearly 20 years ago. The last chapter was, I team up with RFK Jr. and we run for president, only I'm the president, he's the VP, and I get assassinated.
Interesting.
Wow.
And I wrote that book 20 years ago, and I'm Dick Russell, my co-writer. I said, Dick, I want to do something strange with this book. He goes, what do you want to do? I said, the last chapter, without telling nobody, I want to write completely fiction. Well, that last chapter, if I look at it today, might not be fiction now.
If he called you,
only the difference would be RFK'd be on the top and I'd be the VP.
If RFK offered you the VP spot, would you take it?
I would give it serious consideration, certainly. I won't tell you right now yes or no, because it would depend on my personal life.
Yeah,
and that is the commitment I told you about moments ago. You know, would I want to commit myself at age 72 for 1 year of hell? And then the worst part would be, and then possibly the worst part would be this.
Winning.
Yeah. And then I'd have to do it for 4 years.
That's what I said today. I kept tweeting it. I'm like, what if we win? Like, first of all, how would you, I don't even know, there are not enough showers in a day for me to deal with some of those people. You know what I mean? Like, that is just, it's amazing.
Yeah, but wait a minute. You got to remember something. You got to, we just finished with the president. Who reminds me greatly of a dear friend of mine who passed away, who did a phenomenal film called years in the 70s called the Groove Tube? Oh, you guys need to see the Groove Tube and see Richard Belzer's portrayal of the president. You got Donald Trump, man. Richard Belzer did Donald Trump 20 years before Trump was president.
Let me explain something to you, Mr. Ventura. I'm going to explain. Listen, this is very important. I approached you after you won your governorship, and you totally haven't reciprocated. I asked you for your support. You wouldn't give it back to me. I don't appreciate that. But I'm going to offer you an opportunity of a lifetime. Do not go with RFK. He's a total freaking loser. I am offering you the VP spot on my ticket, and believe me, you're going to want to take it. There you go.
No, I don't think Donnie will be offering me that spot. I did a piece.
He would definitely be shitting a brick if RFK made you his VP.
Yeah.
Well, I did a thing on Substack where I compared Trump to Manson.
That's an interesting comparison.
Yes,
look at it.
He has that kind of power.
They're very. What he did on January 6th is almost identical to what Manson did on August 8th. 1969, sending his followers out, waiting for him to come back. And here's the scary part: the exact same number of deaths the first night.
Really?
Yes, 5 people died.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Oh God, the comparisons are eerie. And I get it on Substack. Pull it up on Substack and read it.
That's our shameless plug for the afternoon too.
Yeah.
Don't forget to check out Die First Then Quit, where you can get all these wonderful tidbits from Jesse and myself. And I think actually, Dad, you brought up an interesting point, and I get the passion of where you guys are coming from in terms of like wanting someone like Jesse or other people to run, or RFK, Cornel West. But I think there's the element that we're missing here too is we need youth in office.
Yes.
We keep falling back to people who are, 69, 72. I mean, what, Biden's 105.
Because the choices you got, Ty, are old.
Right.
69's young.
And I know. And as someone who just turned 44, I would love to see more candidates, especially for higher office, especially for president. We need youth again, because we are dealing with issues today that I think, and no offense, Dad, I love you to death, but we are dealing with issues today that we don't need a baby boomer perspective on anymore. We need a Gen X, a millennial perspective on to bring us into the 21st century, namely so we can let the boomers retire. And let them let them ride off into the sunset.
No, the boomers are going to go kicking and screaming. We're running a hospice in Congress, but have you considered running? Because you're talking about, I know the young people, but believe it or not, when it comes to politics, your age is the young people. There's a few really younger outliers, but you would definitely be you're on the younger end of the spectrum for sure. Have you considered this?
And let me inject something here. You don't want anybody much younger than 44. Because there is something called life experience.
See, and this is what
and I would tell people the best age we could have for a president right now, 55. In the 50s.
50s.
A 50-year-old, someone who's in his mid-50s. Because I'm 72 and I can think back, when you're 40, you're not as savvy as you are when you get in the mid-50s. Mid-50s, you've just about seen it all. There isn't a whole lot that you ain't seen by then. So I would tell you, we need to look for presidents who are. John Kennedy was a rarity. He was in his 40s, but it doesn't say that. You know why John Kennedy's our greatest president of all time?
Because he stood up to the deep state and got dead.
No, it's simpler. John Kennedy is the greatest president of all time because they allowed him to serve the least.
Oh.
They killed him. They killed him before he had even served one term.
Shows you how dangerous he was.
Yes.
So, Ty, I think you would be really great in public office. I mean, if you must have considered this.
It's interesting for all my life, or the good portion of my life, I've spent a lot of time in front of a camera and a lot of time speaking out and things like that. It's a hard ask. Because, as great and amazing as it was seeing what my father was able to accomplish going through those 4 years of office and governor, it's a huge ask to do that, especially for me. I don't particularly like to be in front of the camera. It's not something that I aspire to be. I've never aspired to be that. I've kind of fallen into that with aspects of my life and things like that. And it's great to educate people the way I've been able to have that ability to do, and to make people think. It would take the really interesting set of circumstances for me to run for office right now, and I can't get too deep into it because we're very close, and I'll let you know when the time comes, I promise. But we have some other major things happening in the Venturas right now that don't necessarily have to do with politics. And I will promise to let you guys know when those happen. So after I can get that boulder moved up the hill, then maybe I'll circle back around and think about running for office. But let me just get that boulder up the hill first. And trust me, it's a boulder that needs to be moved up that hill, and it's going to be a really incredible thing, I think, when the time comes for us to announce that. So definitely stay tuned for that.
Absolutely.
Let me throw something to you. You're hinting at me to go with the Libertarians, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have all the respect in the world for the Libertarians, but I also have butted heads with them. Because I remember the time I was governor and I was giving a speech on transportation, and the Libertarians started to boo me.
Right.
So I stopped my speech and I looked at them and I said, "You don't think the government should be involved in transportation?" They all said no. And I looked at them and said, "Well, how'd you get here today?"
Yeah.
I said, "You guys, I love your libertarian and liberty attitude, but in a civilized society, and if the society's civilized, you have to have government." I said, "How could you not with transportation?"
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.